Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our first Q&A video for this week, leading up to the 4th episode of The Walking Dead Season 8, Some Guy. In this one first, we're going to give our thoughts on how we're feeling right now. Are we disappointed by that major character death? And spoiler warning, of course, because we are referring to, in this video, the character death that happened in episode 3 last night, or one of them anyway, and not to overshadow, Eric's death as well, too, because that's a pretty decent-sized death. I mean, he is a character that's introduced back in, like him and Aaron are like the first two that we meet really from Alexandria. So that's a pretty big character death as well too. He's been in the series for a long time, and I don't want to make it sound like nobody cares that he was killed off. And it was very well acted by Ross Marquand and everything. It was really sad, and it was a big thing. It's just kind of like, like them bringing Morales back was just such a huge thing, I think, for a lot of us. And, to see him being killed off right away, it definitely warrants further conversation than just a mention in the review. I mean, really, it was kind of a thing that's really unexpected, I think, for All Out War. I mean, we all came into this season expecting All Out War, and we certainly have seen that. And then, in addition to that, they somehow managed to throw Morales in there, and it fits, and it makes pretty good sense when you hear him explain the story of him losing his whole family, kind of getting lost, losing his mind, not knowing what's happening, and the Saviors kind of bringing it back, and then him basically, seemingly, becoming a bad guy, and looking at Rick and saying Rick is basically a bad guy too. Even though I would say that Rick is better and that they're not the same, even though Morgan wants to think that they are the same, they're the same as them, they've had to kill, they've had to execute people as he has. They're really not the same, I think, because underlying that, yes, their actions may be the same, but what they're doing is different. In one case, you have those that are fighting for good, or fighting to, help people have freedom and have, the ability to live, good lives and not be at the mercy of some crazy tyrant, dictator that could bash their head in with a baseball bat if he so chose or if he so wanted to at any time. And there's absolutely nothing that they could do about it. So Rick and the others are fighting to, give these people back what they should have, which is their free will, really. So I view it as not the same. So when you look at comparing Morales to Rick, Rick is fighting to liberate everybody from under this umbrella of the Saviors and Negan, and Morales is really kind of accepting of it and fighting for that umbrella, to see it as basically, from his perspective, that everybody's got the hands dirty. Everyone has their hands dirty, and so whatever, it is what it is. We both become monsters in this way, and Morales trying to see them, not really differently, especially. And you can definitely see his perspective after Rick kills, the dad, and then he sees the baby after, and he's like, what have I just done? But that's what you have to do, and it's the purpose, it's the reason why they're fighting, I think, is different. Rick fighting to help people, Morales fighting to keep everybody in check as part of the Saviors, buying into the Saviors, drinking the black Kool-Aid, so to speak, right? So they bring him back as a villain. They explain what happened to him all the way through in just a couple sequences here. It elevates both episodes 2 and 3 for me. It takes them from great episodes to ultimate episodes for a Walking Dead fan that's been a huge fan of the series since the start. I know for a lot of you guys, just, a huge thing, a huge thing for us fans, because really, they did it for us. If you watch the sneak peek or the behind-the-scenes thing where they discuss Morales' story, kind of a spotlight on Morales, even Gail Anherd pretty much says that it was the fans who wanted to know what happened to him. That's the reason why they did it. So they did it for us. They brought him back for us. But it looks like to me, they really, and I said this kind of in the review briefly, they really couldn't see him as part of the story, or didn't have an idea to bring him back at that time and then have him become, maybe a part of the survivors later and be kind of a more long-running character. It's more of like an episode 100 kind of thing to go back to the first season, and a nostalgic factor there, name drop a couple of the characters earlier on, like Andrea is one we haven't heard for like a long time, Shane and some of this. That's just wicked cool stuff for hardcore Walking Dead fans. It's awesome stuff. So I would have liked to see more with Morales. I think that it would have been really interesting to see. It would have been really cool to see. And because he is kind of a special character, because he's one of the ones that are there from the start. But in reality, there's a lot of things that are involved. You don't know if the actor is going to be able to commit to it. You don't know, if he's got other things he's working on. I don't know, what other projects he has, movies, TV shows, what else he's got going on personally. But in reality, it's not as easy as a comic book where you just draw them in with an artist. You have to actually kind of plan these things out, set these things up. And the other thing is that the show has so many characters. And this season, we really get a good sense of that. Because if you look at characters like Carl, Enid, some of these other characters that were, usually get a lot of time, Carl has had almost no time so far this season. Negan has had almost no time. First episode, we're getting to episode 4. We haven't even seen him for a while. So there's Dwight. There's just so many all around, right? That when you look at it, it's like there's so many people here and so many different actors and casts that really are not getting that much time. Adding on someone like Morales is cool, maybe for kind of the wow factor. He's back. Who is that? Oh yeah, I remember from the first season. That's really cool for fans, but it's probably not something where that's where they wanted to take the story. Where they're taking the story, they have planned out, I'm sure, mapped out for years before they do, based on the comics and an idea of where they're going to go. Maybe even an idea of what they're going to do with Morgan or other characters like this, and not even sure how long characters like that are gonna last or be around. So we'll see. But he's a character that I think they really just did bring in kind of for hardcore fans. So in that, I think we should just be happy that they even did it at all. It's kind of crazy. When I saw episode 2, I was like, what? They actually did it? There's no way they are going to do that. But they actually did it, and, that is amazing. But to see him be kind of a character that could be around for long, they don't want him to become like Morgan 2.0, I wouldn't think, where he's gone for a while, he comes back, and then he's part of the show again for several seasons. It sounds to me like that wasn't the intention of bringing him back, but the intention was more to, just kind of have something special like that for your hardcore fans that have been watching since the first season, and just think it's really cool. And I personally do think so, but that's probably the last one. That might be the last time in the series we ever see somebody from the earlier seasons that really is going to take us back to that time in the show in season 1, or these first couple of seasons. They'll probably never do anything like that again, really. I mean, there'll be characters like Heath and stuff like that come back eventually, I would think, but they'll probably never have another one like that with Morales, where what happened here happened. So I think that's the way we should look at it, guys. I know it would have been really cool to see some great character stuff from him, and he is kind of a standout because he was in the show earlier on, more so than just a random character there. He is really a standout character because he was in the show so early, and just to kind of find out his journey and everything like that is just so interesting. It's just so really, really cool to kind of at least find out. So in that, we should, I think, be happy. We shouldn't be too disappointed, and just say that it would have been cool if they could have had him on longer and kind of become a mainstay for another maybe a couple seasons or something. But really, the roster is so huge already, it's really tough to expect that when because they also want to move forward too in the story. They don't want it to feel like they're stuck in the old. They're also bringing in new characters. They got new stuff happening, and of course they're building to new things as well too. So you don't want to have, I suppose you wouldn't want to have too much nostalgia in there either, to where it just becomes like, remember how great The Walking Dead was? Nowadays it feels like they're just trying to recreate the first couple seasons, right, or something like that. So I think that's the idea of why they just brought him back temporarily for a couple episodes, and then that's it. But it would have been cool, but I'm just happy that they brought him back at all, is what I'm saying. But you guys rate your comments below. Let me know what you guys think would have been cool. Maybe some of the things they could have done with him that would have been cool to you, or that you would have liked to have seen. But yeah, there's just so many damn characters. We can't, they can't just make it all about him at this time. It's in the middle of a damn war too, so there's just so much stuff going on. Joshua says, anyone else remember Trev saying, I hope they bring Morales back and then kill him off straight away so he isn't talked about it anymore. I don't even remember myself saying that, so I probably did at some point when people just would not let it go after like years. I probably got frustrated and was like, yeah, I hope they just bring him back just to kill him. I didn't think they would actually do it. I mean, let's be honest here, guys. You know, the videos became a joke after a while, and that's why I did it, was just because it was funny. Like, you know, the people kept bringing him up as like the guy with the boots, this Leslie guy possibly, or this character or that character in the shadow, and it just became like this silly thing where I never thought they would actually do it. That's crazy. So it's still funny. So I guess in a way I got what Angry Trev wanted. At that moment it made sense. Now that we're actually seeing it, it's like, oh darn, I wish we could have seen him longer, but it's what it is. Kyle Papp says, hey Trev, do you think that Aaron will take care of Gracie now that he's lost Eric, or do you think someone else will take care of her? I think it would be real cool if Carol took her in since she lost Sophia. Keep up the great work. Love watching your reviews right after every episode. So for Kyle, man, that would be so cool if they would do something like that. But I think at this point, Carol might be so closed off after losing not only Sophia, but then, you got Lizzie and Mika, and you got, Sam. So at this point, she may not want to do that. She may not want to take in somebody else just because of the possibility that she could lose them. But maybe you're right, man. That would be really cool to see. But still, Aaron, I guess, kind of in a way, kind of adopting her would kind of be really cool. And so, I'm happy with it either way. And I like the add-in of having the baby there. I think that did a lot for Rick and for the others. And to still show, I feel like when Rick walks out with her, that right there in and of itself is kind of like Rick is still the hero. Even though, he's had to do some terrible things and all this, he's still kind of a hero, though, too. He's not just this cold, I'll just leave her, whatever, who cares? Dad's dead, whatever. No, that's not how Rick is. He is still the hero, so that's cool. Halfmill says, laughing my ass off, that death, so ruthless. And you can even see in the Spotlight video for Morales, Norman Reedus, who, of course, plays Daryl, he almost seems triggered by it. Like, he seems pissed off that he had to be the one to kill Morales with the thing when he says, like, I don't write this. I don't write this. He kind of says, like, I don't write this shit. Like, I don't want to do this. Because even for him, too, it was cool to see because, of course, that's like OG, one of the people that was around in the series at the very beginning when they just started filming. So it sounds like not only did it have an impact, and was it a great idea for them to do for a lot of the hardcore audience, but it sounds to me like emotionally it had an impact on even the cast as well, too, to have them have somebody come back from the very first season, even if it was just for a little bit, like for, a day or two of shooting or however long it took them to do that, which probably wouldn't have been that long. Alex says, what if Morales isn't really dead? So one of these theories, really, we're going to do this? Come on, dude. It's just silly, right? Like, that's what it's going to be probably from now on. It's just going to be like this silly, troll thing or just silly thing. But, he'll live on in infamy forever, right? It's like, it's just, they closed the book on that one. It's done now. And, we can all kind of move on, I suppose, find other things to troll about or to say stupid things about. It's just what it is. Stone Cold Negan says, you never even got to know his first name. And, that's true, but we still don't know Negan's first name or last name either. Like, we don't know which name is Negan. I think it's his first name, but we don't know Negan's entire name either. So, it's what it is. Some characters are like that. And, Morales never will probably get, a first name, and Negan will probably never get a last name, if Negan's his first name, or vice versa. Limel KH2 says, Rick's mercy quote is starting to make sense. With Daryl killing that guy and Morales, Rick's humanity is slowly kicking in a bit. And that's a great, a notice from the episode, a great call out, is that when you do think about that scene in the first episode, it is true that as Rick is seeing the cruel reality of war and people that he knows are being arrowed in the head by people that he loves, like Daryl being his zombie apocalypse brother, is killing this one person, and then you have him killing the other guy. You have to think, like, when Rick looks at Daryl, he might think to himself, like, man, go through and wipe them all out, clean them out, so to speak. But at the same time, it's like, you get to see that kind of horror yourself, and you get to see, the baby after killing the dad and this kind of thing. And definitely you can see that this would have an effect on him, and then maybe later on. So they're really, and they do a great job with this, they're really setting it up for later to possibly have Rick be more humane towards, if they're able to beat the Saviors 100%, Rick to show mercy there, and for that really to make sense. So for everybody, if you look at the first episode, there's things in there. It's like, and Lamel is calling this out right now, they're really weaving a good story here. They're making it so that Rick's motivations are going to make sense later on if he decides not to kill certain people if they beat the Saviors. So, like at the beginning, you think, okay, it doesn't make sense that he would just decide to do that. But they're dropping these little seeds here. They're growing. You're starting to see this. You're starting to see all this stuff happening from his perspective. And it almost feels like to us, too, well, as bad as they are, maybe Jesus is right. Maybe we shouldn't just kill them all, because that kind of makes us too similar in some way to them. Glenn gets his head bashed in, so does Abraham. Are we going to, just go around and kill everybody, just wipe them out? And if they did, does that make them worse than Negan in some ways? Because Negan didn't absolutely kill them all. He kind of enslaved them, which is really bad too, but he didn't just exterminate them, like flies or something. We'll do a couple more. Tyler 9698 says, "Hey Trev, was I the only one annoyed with how Jesus was handling the Saviors? The war is not big enough to take prisoners. They have to kill them all, and it shouldn't be about morals anymore. There is just no other way." So we did discuss this one in the Q&A for Sunday. It was yesterday, so you can watch that if you want, Tyler. But just because it was another concentration again in episode 3 after episode 2, it is a little bit annoying. The ones that try to run away, you would think that you just have to basically put them down. They're not listening already, and that let Morgan do his thing. He's the one who caught them afterwards and went after them, so let him finish it up if that's what he's going to do, because they are not cooperating all. They're running off on their own. You can't really trust them, but maybe you finish them, you let the others live, this kind of thing. It's tough, and I think they're doing a good job this season of showing that it is a war, but there are consequences for every single one that you kill. There are ties to others. Some of them are fathers, some of them are brothers, some of them are sisters. They are saviors, but they still are people too, and it's not so easy to just wipe them all out like that. You're right. In terms of cold logic, you're absolutely right with cold logic that the answer is you have to kill them all. And, however you feel about it, it's what it is. But then when it comes down to it and they beg and Gregory wants back in, it's difficult emotionally to just pull that trigger and clear them all out, right? And finish them off without, giving them any kind of a chance. Once you give them a chance, if they still screw up, then I think, yeah, okay, it makes sense. But, so Jesus, you could say maybe Jesus is way too lenient. Fighting Morgan and almost hurting somebody who's a part of their forces, and with what's happening with them for that. So maybe Jesus is too far on that side, but maybe Daryl is a little bit too far on the other side. Maybe somewhere in the middle makes the most sense. But it's, they all have their motivations. Daryl has his set up from last season, for what he went through. Morgan has his, clear, and the whole thing he's gone through. Jesus, maybe a little bit too nice. Maggie, probably closer to in the middle. But Jesus, it sounds like he might be talking her into keeping them all alive and, trying to set up some kind of camp or something. I think your other choices are you either have them fight for you or you kill them. Maybe you set an example of some of them, kill off the ones who run away, tell the others that, hey, you're part of us now. We're going to stop Negan altogether. But it's risky, man, because then you give them a gun, it's like they might shoot you in the back, so it's tough, man. It's really tough. So, write your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this one for sure. How do you think they handled Morales? How do you feel about it? That's really the question with this video. How are you feeling about it? How do you feel about Rick's kind of mercy development here with regards to him being more merciful, possibly later on this season? And if you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can also share and favorite. Check out the other videos here I did yesterday for you guys. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. You can subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. See you guys soon. Well, I hope you're wearing your subscribing pants.
What?
Your subscribing pants. Because you're going to subscribe to this channel wearing those pants.